Yeah. Oh, okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone, to the 36th weekly academic lectures of SOAWAL. And the speaker of today's talk is Dr. Rajesh Kumar, who is also a friend of mine since PhD days. Dr. Rai is presently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Mathematics at Jaypee Institute of Information Technology, Noida. He is involved in undergraduate, postgraduate teaching and research work. His research area of interest are mathematical modeling in epidemiology, public health and management, application of ordinary and delay differential equations, bifurcation analysis, and its chaotic dynamics. He completed his MSc in 2014 from Banaras Hindu University, BHU, and received his PhD from same institute in 2019. He has published 11 research papers in Journal of International Repute. So far, Dr. Rai is reviewer in various international journals like Ecological Complexity Elsewhere, International Journals of Biomathematics, World Scientific, and etc. He is also a lifetime member of Indian Academy of Mathematical Modeling and Simulation and Indian Science Congress Association. So Dr. Rai is going to present a talk on the topic dynamic of infectious diseases and its behavioral epidemiology with a special focus on COVID-19 pandemic. And it seems like an interesting topic. So let us hear Dr. Rai now. So Rajanish, please.
Yeah, thank you, Abed. I will try to make it interesting. Thank you, sir, for giving me opportunity to share my knowledge and understanding. What do you know? I am just writing the mathematical equation so far, nothing more than that. So I will try to make it interesting. I think everyone know what are the transmission mechanism of COVID-19 because everyone gone through it. So we can also observe when COVID-19 was started, so we don't have any vaccination or any biomedical intervention. So on that time, we are only rely on the public awareness. WHO also started various types of social media advertising campaign, as well as government of India is also start various types of press meetings in order to make the people aware regarding the risk of infection and what are the transmission mechanisms regarding the COVID-19. So, so at the initial stage, media advertisement plays a very important role. So I will present the things step by step. So let me share my screen. So I will start with very beginning. So history of epidemiological modeling. So this is the title of my presentation: the dynamics of infectious diseases and its behavioral epidemiology, with a special focus on the COVID-19 modeling. So we know that the COVID-19 can be spread through the direct contact between susceptible and infected individuals, but the infected individual are two types. Symptomatic infected individual, that means the individual who are showing symptoms for the disease and they are capable to transmit the infection. And the another types of infected individuals are asymptomatic infected individual. That means that the individual who are not showing symptoms for the disease, but they are also able to transmit the infection. So at the initial stage, we don't have vaccination and biomedical intervention. So we have to rely on non-pharmaceutical intervention. What are the non-pharmaceutical intervention? Non-pharmaceutical intervention are the action that any individual can take apart from medication and vaccine, such as use of sanitizer, use of face mask, keeping distance from the infected individuals so that they can limit their spread of transmission of any infectious disease from person to person contact. So these are the outline of my presentation. So what are the mathematical modeling? We know that mathematical model have a great contribution to understand the transmission dynamics of infectious disease and their control mechanisms. We can predict the future outcomes, what will happen in future with the help of the mathematical modeling. So we can say that the mathematical modeling is essentially consists of translating the real world problem, what you observing in the real world situation, you can convert into the mathematical problem, and after analyzing the mathematical model we will compare whatever result we are getting, we compare with the real world situation. If our outcomes is match with real world situation, then problem is adequate and process is complete. Otherwise we will again modify our modeling process, and this process is repeated again so that we can get the good results. So initially in 1927 Kermit McKendrick uh, proposed a very simple SIR model. They have taken for the closed population, that means when population is constant without demographic, that means no birth and death rate is occurring in the system under consideration. They have taken ST is the susceptible population, that means the individual who have possibility to become infected, and infected individual and recovered individual. Simple SIR model. When susceptible individual comes in contact with infected individual, they become infected and join to the infected class. After some time, they will recover from the infection and join to the recovered class. So now, after the work proposed by Kermack and McKendrick, several types of mathematical models are proposed and analyzed, which includes features like vaccination, quarantine, behavioral changes, and awareness. As we know, at the initial stage of epidemic outbreak, media plays a very important role. Because we don't have any vaccination, so we have to encourage people to adopt non-pharmaceutical intervention as a preventive measure. So nowadays, the social media advertisement plays a very important role to make people aware regarding the risk of infection and its control mechanism, so that they can avoid their contact with infected individual, and they can use healthy lifestyle, as well as they adopt use of face mask like in the COVID-19, and they will also use various types of healthy sanitation practices so that they can avoid their contact with reduce their contact with the infected individual. So we can say that media is widely acknowledged as an important intervention, is raising issues of the public health care and play a very promising role to control the infection through propagating awareness among the individual. It has the ability to disseminate well-defined messages to population across the globe, and also motivate to government to change their health policy. If government is not doing media can influence that to government, so that they can change their policy. So awareness programs which brings behavioral changes among any individual can be seen at the initial stage. We can say it can be treated as partial treatment at no cost. Apart from this, awareness regarding any spread of infectious disease also reduces the economic burden required for the medication, because if someone have some small types of disease, they can also use some home remedies as well as some non-pharmaceutical intervention, so that they can avoid their contact with the infected individual. And nowadays we know social media advertisement plays a very important role, like Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter. They can transmit the information in a very short period of time, so that people will become aware from the disease, and they will take various types of non-pharmaceutical interventions. So that means in this regard, Capaccio and Serio in 1978, they have introduced the concept of behavioral response in the epidemic model after the Kermack McKendrick model, and they have modified the contact rate by some function GI, which is AI upon 1 plus BI, which allow to assess the impact of psychological effect for a very large number of affected. Like if a media campaign is going on, people will avoid their contact with infected individuals, so that the contact rate between susceptible and infected individual will reduce. But after some times, in 2008, Liu and Q have extended the concept of saturated types of bounded function. They have taken that due to impact of information campaign, the contact rate will be decreases with decreasing decreasing function of number of infected individual. So initially the model proposed by Liu Q is something like this. Here ST is the susceptible population, IT is the infected population, RT is the required population. They proposed a SIRS model by considering media impact of media in the modeling process. Here A is the immigration in the class of susceptible population. When susceptible individual contact with infected individual, they become infected and join to the infected class. But due to impact of information campaigns, susceptible individuals change their behavior. They adopt various types of preventive measure so that they will avoid their contact with infected individual. That's why the contact rate decreases with this factor beta 2 I upon m plus I. And after some time, some susceptible individual through proper treatment or through his bodily immune response, they will recover from the infection and they will so they modified this contact in several ways. Broadcast due to disease prevalence to make people aware regarding the tools and techniques required for the protection. Like in the COVID-19, when first confirmed case in India on 30th January occur, government start various types of social media campaign. Proportional, the way the number of cases is increasing, media advertisement is also increasing. So we can say that the information propagated by media is not constant. It is also a dynamic variable which changes with time. So keeping this idea in mind, Misra et al. In 2011 proposed a mathematical model by considering media as a dynamic variable. And the model proposed by Misra et al. Describe the situation. Here ST is the susceptible population and IT is the infected population and SA is the aware population and MT is the media program propagated by media and health authorities, which is proportional to the number of infected individual. However, we know that after some time, some media program become ineffective. You need another media program in order to encourage the people to adapt so that they can adopt various types of preventive measures. So in the modeling process, they have assumed that due to impact of information campaign, susceptible individual forms a separate aware class, which is called aware class, and they will join to the aware class with this rate lambda, where lambda is the rate of awareness among the susceptible individual. But it may be possible that the individual who are aware from the disease, they will, due to memory fading and other social factor like I forgot my certain work, so I will go outside. So it may be possible that I will go outside, I will be susceptible for the disease. So here lambda 0 is the rate of transfer of aware individual to the susceptible class, and and after some time the infected individual recovered from the infection through proper treatment or his bodily immune power, and they will join to the susceptible class. Alpha is the disease induced death rate and D is the natural death rate. So Misra et al. Have analyzed this model system, but this model system also have some limitations because people have lots of work has been done by considering this concept that media is a dynamic variable, and they have proposed various mathematical models. But this model system also have some limitation because we know na broadcasting through media campaign is a very cost effective procedure. Cost is also involved in broadcasting. We can also see at the beginning stage of COVID-19, government is propagating so much advertising campaign. But after some time, what is happening when people become aware from the disease, the information campaign propagated by media or press release by WHO is start reducing. So we can extend this idea by taking media as a dynamic variable, but this growth rate of broadcasting through social media advertisement will decrease with increase in number of aware individuals. What is the reason behind consideration of this? Because cost is also involved in broadcasting information through social media. So we have extended this idea, and it is also realistic to consider that it is not possible that media program can impact the susceptible individual to the 100% efficacy. So there is a limited amount that susceptible individual can be increased can be influenced by the media advertising up to a limited extent. That's why we have considered Hawley type 2 of functional response in the modeling process. And in the modeling process, we have assumed that the growth rate of advertising campaign increases proportional to the number of infected individuals. However, after some times, when people become aware from the disease, growth rate of broadcasting will decrease with increase in number of aware individual. And it is also realistic to consider that some baseline number of advertisement is always maintained in the system under consideration. We can also see in case of COVID-19, still we have some advertising campaign which is always maintained in the system. So in the modeling process, we have assumed M0 baseline number of advertising always maintained in the system. And this is the natural depletion in the social media advertising campaign. And here we have taken that when susceptible individual know enough information regarding any infectious disease, they will become aware from the disease, but they will join to the aware class. After sometimes they will, due to memory fading and other social factors, they become susceptible for the disease and join to the susceptible class. And use the recovery rate, alpha is the disease death rate. This model is valid for those infectious disease which is spread in the population through the direct contact, like seasonal flu, H1N1, and so on and so forth. So we can see that this model system is non-linear in nature, so it's difficult to find this explicit solution. So we go for its qualitative behavior, try to inform some global information around the equilibrium point. We go for the local stability analysis, global stability analysis, and the dependence of the parameter. We will see this initial value problem is have existence and uniqueness of the solutions or not. What are the continuous dependence of the which parameter influencing the all the dynamical variable. So in order to get more details, you can follow this paper. My idea is that this model system also have some limitation. In order to avoid complexity at the initial stage, we propose this model system, but we can see that it is also possible that when any people become aware from the disease, it may be possible that through word of mouth communication, they can also aware the susceptible individual through the direct contact by word of mouth communication, through phone conversation. That means through local awareness. And it is also possible that any individual who is recovered from the infection, so they will become aware from the disease and they can directly join to the aware class, and some fraction of the recovered individual become unaware from the disease, hopefully small. They will become susceptible for the disease, join to the susceptible class. And it may be possible that individual who are very much aware from the disease, like in the COVID-19, if you are very much aware from the COVID-19, still you can come in contact with any infected individual and you will become infected from the infection. So keeping this idea in my mind, we have proposed and analyzed a non-linear mathematical model by considering local and global awareness, because we know the arc of social media is to disseminate accurate and reliable information about the disease and the create awareness about the transmission and prevention. Clear what types of myth and misconception, like in the vaccination, due to social media encourage people to go for the vaccination, they will clear the what types of myth and misconception is going on, so that people change their behavior and avoid and people change the individual behavior so that disease prevalence could be minimized, so that people will start various types of non-pharmaceutical intervention. But it may be possible that some people will rely on, rather than global information campaign, some people will rely upon some neighbor or community members rather than social media and internet. So to target this fraction of population, word of mouth communication plays a very important role. This is the best route of disseminating information and imparting knowledge. Because like in the COVID-19, we have already observed everyone is talking regarding the COVID-19, what types of transmission, if we are talking about positive sides. So this is also possible. If I am aware from the disease, I can transmit my information to other unaware population, unaware people, so that he will also start, or she will also start using preventive measures. So people aware of the odds of the disease will not only protect themselves, but they will also make other people aware through interpersonal communication. So we have extended our previous idea. We have taken that here ST is the susceptible population, AT is the aware population, IT is the infected population, and MT is the media advertisement through social media, internet, and other. Here it is similar to like in the previous study. Growth rate of advertising campaign is proportional to the number of infected individual. However, this growth rate decreases with increase in number of aware individual. Here M0 is the baseline number of advertising which is always maintained in the system. Here we have taken the susceptible individual when come in contact with aware individual through word of mouth communication, they will become aware from the disease, as well as the individual who are susceptible from the disease through to global information campaign by like World Health Organization, media reporting by the government. They will also become aware from the disease through global information by this rate lambda s m upon p plus n, and they will join to the aware class. But after some time, it may be possible that the aware individual, due to memory fading and other social factor, they will become unaware from the disease and become susceptible for the disease. And it is also possible that the individual who are very, like you are very much aware from the disease, but still there is possibility that the aware individual can be come in contact with infected individual, but with lower rate than unaware individual, because you are aware from the disease, so you are using some preventive measure. So the contact rate is here beta 1 is between 0 and 1, so that it will reflect that beta si is the direct contact rate, and this is less than beta. So they will join to the infected class. And like if I am recovered from the disease, so I have enough information, I have enough awareness regarding the that types of disease. So some fraction of recovered individual through proper treatment, they will become aware from the disease, and remaining hopefully small, they will become susceptible from the disease. And here this is the natural death rate. So we have analyzed this model system by taking concept of the local and global awareness in the modeling process. And we have also assumed that uh, 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 in the previous study, we are discussing about the autonomous system. Now here we have taken the growth rate of advertisement campaign depends upon time and season. Obviously, because government is also have lots of other responsibility, they will focus on other things rather than only thinking about the media broadcasting, like development of vaccination, development of healthcare facilities. So we can assume that the growth rate of advertisement campaign will depends upon time and season. So that's why we have considered that the constant growth rate of media campaign is time dependent rather than being constant. So we have analyzed this model system. We got various types of interesting results, like phenomena of three periodic solution is also observed with the system, phenomena of Hooke bifurcation on all that. For more details, you can follow this paper, which is published in Bifurcation in Chaos. So our main focus is, so what is the mathematical finding of this paper? This paper indicates that the broadcasting through information campaign through social media is a crucial factor in the prevention of the disease transmission, and may be used as a potential strategy in controlling the disease at the early stage of epidemic outbreak. And the effect of awareness should be increased at individual level as well as society level in both infected and uninfected population, and efforts should be made on radical behavioral changes at both the individual and group level, in particularly among those who are deemed at risk, in order to control the burden of the disease. So in this context, public health authorities and policymakers have a major contribution. They should monitor the situation to ensure that the intervention strategies are being implemented properly or not. We believe that this finding is beneficial to the contagious characteristics of the real epidemic, and helps to adopt suitable precautionary measures in forms of the non-pharmaceutical intervention. So now COVID-19 come. So we are already working on such types of mathematical phenomena. So we know in the COVID-19 several types of dynamical variable. You have to go to hospital. You have symptomatic individuals are there, asymptomatic individuals are there, quarantine individuals are there, susceptible individuals are there. So at the initial stage, information campaign plays a very important role. So we know that the coronavirus pandemic and their new strain, whatever going right now, they are the major threat for the mankind. This study is at the initial stage of epidemic outbreak. So the result as predicted uh, uh, through data, whatever available on that time. We are working on right now on the current data scenario. But uh, so so we know that the world is very globalized. So any infectious disease can be accelerated very rapidly, very fast in a very short period of time. This will affect the public healthcare system and also hinder the economic development of developing and underdeveloped countries. We have seen lots of people lost their jobs and all that. So we can see that the COVID-19 is one of the uh, wreaking havoc on the whole world at present. And after emergence in Wuhan in 2019 and then global spread in February 2020. We know that the disease being caused by novel coronavirus, which is a new member of the coronavirus family. We already have SARS and MARS already occurred in China. Now this COVID-19 is become a pandemic. Uh, Still, the researchers are actively involved to understand the virus in epidemiology. Accurate knowledge about the disease is still very limited. So this because new strain is coming out, so we are very much confused that the vaccination will be effective for this new strain or not and all that. So this calls the scientific study to explore and understand more the mechanism behind the spread of virus and examine the various types of pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical intervention in order to control this pandemic. So in this regard, mathematical models have been used to predict the disease dynamics and also assess the efficacy of intervention strategy in reducing the disease burden. And we know the first confirmed case in India was occurred in 31st January, and government of India is implemented country-wise lockdown as a preventive measure on 24th March, so that people will have some gap so that they will not come in contact with each other. So government is so in this regard we have also seen that government has continuously broadcasted various types of social media by using various types of social media website to aware the citizens of the India regarding the current scenario of disease threat and the what types of control mechanism you can use, because at that time we don't have vaccination and biomedical interventions. So what government is doing on that time, they are employing different modes of propagation of information campaign, including social media, TV, radio, internet. They are using various types of slogans like stay home, stay safe, be clean, be healthy, जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक कोई ढिलाई नहीं, like no carelessness till medicine is found, 2 गज की दूरी, mask है जरूरी, like mask and maintaining distance of 2 yards is necessary. And what is the motive of this mission, this social media campaign, is to encourage people to adopt healthy sanitation practices, healthy diets, meditation, frequent hand washing, use of face mask, sanitizer, maintain social distancing, and avoid their eyes, nose, touch, mouth, etc. So that we know that the COVID-19 is a directly transmitted disease through eyes, nose, and mouth. However, the factors like if we talk about the COVID-19 in Indian perspective, some places have very high population density, unavailability of specific medicine or vaccination on that time, insufficient evidence regarding the transmission mechanism. That means not so much testing is going on the disease. Also make it difficult to fight against the disease in India. So keeping this idea in mind, we have proposed a non-linear mathematical model by considering 10 dynamical variables. In the modeling process, we have assumed that the growth rate of social media advertising campaign is increases proportional to the number of symptomatic individuals. However, this growth rate of broadcasting will decrease with increase in number of aware individuals. We can observe now at the initial stage so much broadcasting is going on. When people become aware from the disease, government reduce the broadcasting of information campaign through various types of media advertising campaign. because cost is also involved in broadcasting information. Here M0 is the baseline number of advertisement which always maintained in the system. So in the modeling process here ST is the susceptible population. When any susceptible individual come in contact with the coronavirus, there are two types of infected individual. One is the symptomatic infected individual and another is the asymptomatic individual. IS means symptomatic individual means the individual who are showing symptoms for the disease and capable of transmitting the infection. And IA is the asymptomatic individuals. That means the individual who are not showing symptoms for the disease, but they are also capable of transmitting the infection. That's why we have taken that when susceptible individual come in contact with symptomatic or asymptomatic individual, they become exposed from the infection. Because in the case of COVID-19, you have some latency period. When you come in contact with any infected individual, you will be exposed to the infection for some time. After that, but in it due to impact of information campaign, government is people are also using various types of preventive measures. That's why we have considered that the contact rate between susceptible and infected individual is decreased by this factor CMS M1 P plus M and this, and they will join to the exposed class. Here D is the natural death rate in each compartment. And when people become exposed from the infection, so a fraction of the exposed individual becomes symptomatic. The individual who starts showing symptoms for the disease, they will join to the symptomatic class, and the individual who are uh, mild symptoms for the disease, they will join to the asymptomatic class with alpha sigma E rate. And with the individual who are in the asymptomatic class, after some times it may be possible that those who are in asymptomatic class, they will start showing symptoms for the disease, so they will become symptomatic and then they will join to the symptomatic class with this rate beta ia. But at the COVID-19 when COVID-19 is going on, media advertisement is also going on. So due to impact of awareness programs, symptomatic individuals start using health protocols like self-isolation, social distancing, because if they are very much aware from the disease, so they will protect themselves, they will isolate themselves. So here we have taken gamma IAM due to impact of information campaign. They are going to the isolated compartment and joining the isolated compartment, and after some times they recover from the infection and join to the recovered class. The individual who are in symptomatic class, there is possibility that if someone have severe symptoms from the disease, there is some natural disease induced death rate as well as natural death rate, and they will for the treatment they go to the hospital and join to the hospitalized compartment. And in the hospital compartment, it may be possible that there is some disease induced death rate and natural death rate, and after some time through proper treatment they will recover from the infection and join to the recovered class. But Delhi cops case, like in the Delhi cops case, like if you are recovered from the infection, you have immunity regarding COVID-19, but still after some time you will lose your immunity and become susceptible for the disease, and then you also have the possibility of reinfection. We can observe in our day-to-day life so many people who have COVID-19 infection. After some, if they recovered from the infection, after some time they will again become in the second wave. They again become infected due to COVID-19. So that's why we have also considered the possibility of reinfection in the modeling process. We have analyzed this model system and found the basic reproduction number, which tells what is the epidemic threshold. If R0 is greater than 1, that means one infected individual is capable to infect more than one infected individual during her whole infection period. That means disease will increase. If R0 is less than 1, that means if two infected individual, if R0 is less than 1, they are capable to infect at only one, so disease will dies out after some time. So this is the um, number of secondary infectives infected by an infected individual during her whole infection period. So we have analyzed this model system for data taken from 1st April to 7th September 2020, and we have seen that the graph, our predicted outcome match with the real world situation, and cases are very increasing, exponentially increasing on that time. And we have also seen the non-linear stability behavior of the model system. That means disease remains endemic in the region. You need some extra control measures like vaccination and biomedical intervention as well as hospitalization in order to suppress the burden of disease. We see which parameters is important to like is most effective, so that we can, if they have positive impact, so we will try to reduce it. If they have like if some parameter is very much responsible to increase the burden of disease, we will apply some extra control measure on that types of things, so that we can reduce the transmission of infection. We also see the L2 norm sensitivity in order to check the which parameter is most sensitive. And we've also seen the epidemic threshold can be dies out, and it will become less than 1 if you apply some extra control measure like a good hospitalization and other biomedical interventions. And we also see this behavior. So what are the my mathematical finding on this study? By looking at the estimated parameter, it is observed that, hello, am I audible? Hello, Amit?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Actually, some power. So by looking the
Yes, sir.
estimate,
Audible. Yeah, audible.
yeah. So by looking the estimated parameter, it
Okay.
is observed that on that due to on that time we estimated this types of prediction. Like by looking the estimated parameter, it is observed that rate of disease transmission is very high in India, which basically imply high infectiousness of the disease, which we can see in case of second wave. We have uh, there is no types of control measure so that you can manage the burden of the COVID-19, and the rate of disease transmission need to be controlled. Otherwise, large population proportion of the population will be affected within a very short period of time. So you can see now second wave is started in the month of, I think, November. So because in India the population density is very high, so our result also suggests that higher intervention efforts are needed in order to control the disease outbreak within a shorter period of time in India. And our analysis also revealed that the strength of the intervention strategy should be increased over the time to eradicate the disease effectively. And the result reported in this study suggests that publicizing information through social media services can be an important factor in the suppression of the disease transmission and may be used as a potential disease control strategy. And the level of awareness should be increased. Efforts should be made on radical behavioral changes among the susceptible individual in order to control the burden of the COVID-19. And in this context, public health authorities and policymakers should have major contribution to monitor the situation to ensure that intervention and strategy are being implemented properly or not, and the targeted population must be vaccinated to stop the burden of the COVID-19 as soon as possible, so that we have a concept of herd immunity in the modeling process. Like if 100 people are there, if 55% are people are vaccinated from the COVID-19, so there is some blockage over there, so that the concept of herd immunity, like virus will not find any host population, so that he will survive. Virus will be survive in the body. And media campaigns should be conducted to develop the awareness of the community regarding the danger of the COVID-19. And after the media reporting about the COVID-19, people become aware from the disease threat and start reducing their contact with others. And government of India is also imposed complete lockdown on that time. And like educational institute arrange online classes, webinar, conferences is also on online mode, workshop is also online mode. Our finding also suggests that like continuous propagation of awareness through internet, social media platforms should be regularly circulated by the health authorities, government official for the hospitalization of the symptomatic individual, quarantine of the symptomatic individual to control the prevalence of disease in India. Now we have also seen further we have investigated one more mathematical model by taking the data of the second wave. We have seen that we are not able to control the burden of the COVID-19 through media broadcasting. We need some extra effort like vaccination, and other biomedical intervention. Targeted population must be vaccinated within a shorter period of time. So we have taken that, and we have also observed that there is a active aware class like health, educated peoples, as well as the uh, health warriors, and uneducated people and careless people. If you want to try to convince them, you should not go for there. They will not convince. So they are very less effect, less aware. They are aware, but they are not taking very much care regarding COVID-19. So they have more chance to be become infected. So we have taken that that there are two types of dissemination of local awareness through word of mouth communication, which is arising from the direct contact between unaware and aware individual, and global information campaign stemming from the social media, TV, and radio, which are the cost effective in responsive medium in remote areas. How they are affecting the dynamics of the COVID-19 in India. So we have proposed this nonlinear mathematical model. Here we have taken two types of class of aware individual: highly active aware class of individual and less active aware class of individual, like healthcare workers, educated people who have enough amount of the knowledge regarding COVID-19, and the less active aware people like uneducated people, or you can say careless people. So in the modeling process, we have assumed that similar approach like growth rate of advertising campaign is increases proportional to the number of symptomatic individual. However, this growth rate decreases with increase in number of aware individual, and zero baseline number of advertisement always maintained in the system. Here we have taken that when susceptible individual comes in contact with either symptomatic or asymptomatic individual, they become exposed to the infection and join to the exposed class. After some time, when exposed individual starts showing symptoms for the disease, they will join to the symptomatic class, and the remaining proportion will join to the asymptomatic class. Here, this is the natural death rate. And here we have taken that the individual who are asymptomatic from the infection, after some time they are start showing symptoms for the disease, they will join to the symptomatic class. And here we have taken that due to impact of information campaign, asymptomatic individuals start using health protocols, self isolation, social distancing, and they will join to the quarantine compartment. But here we have taken that media program can influence the asymptomatic individual up to a limited extent. That's why we have taken the Holic type 2 of functional response in order to deal the more realistic situation. They will join to the quarantine compartment, and after some time they will recover from the infection and join to the recovered class. The individual who are in asymptomatic compartment, they will go to the hospital, and there is some disease induced death rate in the asymptomatic class as well as natural death rate. And there is in hospitalized case, it may be possible that if you are severe symptoms of the COVID-19, you have some disease induced death rate and natural death. After some time, they will recover from the infection and join to the recovered class. But it may be possible that you are recovered from the infection, you have a immunity system developed in your body, but still there is possibility that after some time you will lose your immunity and you will join to the susceptible class. That's why government is also propagating information like that. If you are have COVID-19 infection, so you can take vaccination after 3 months, because up to 3 months you have immunity. After that you don't have immunity, so you have to go for the vaccination. And we have also assumed that when susceptible individual, we have also taken the concept of local awareness in the modeling process. The individual who are highly aware, they will encourage susceptible individual so that they will become aware from the disease and join to the aware class. That's why we have taken 1 minus C. So a fraction of the aware susceptible individual, due to influence of highly active aware individual, they become highly active aware, as well as some fraction will be still, they will not follow the any suggestions, so they will become less active and they will join to the less active aware class. And due to global information campaign, some fraction of the susceptible individual become highly active aware, and some fraction of the susceptible individual become less active aware. They will join to the highly active and less active aware classes. And due to memory fading, after some time they will become susceptible for the disease, or either you have some important work, so you will go outside, so there is possibility that you have possibility of become uh, uh, have infection, regarding possibility of infection. And here we have also assumed that, because we know now, like the individual who are having symptoms for the disease, you know this person have COVID-19, but you don't know the individual who are symptoms for the disease, but they are not showing symptoms for the disease, like asymptomatic individual. So it may be possible that either you are highly active or less active aware individuals. When you come in contact with asymptomatic individual, you become exposed from the infection and join to the exposed class. And then because there is possibility that the individual who are asymptomatic from the infection, they can transmit their infection. Either you are, whatever you are, if very much aware, still you have possibility to be infection. So we have analyzed this model system, and we have taken the data from 1st February to 22 May, and here we can observe that whatever I have predicted, which is entirely different what is happening in the real world situation. We are also failed to predict the what will happen in future. So you need vaccination target. So we also see that the disease progression is very high in India, and the disease remains endemic in the region under consideration. So our findings suggest that, like, until the medical health facilities or vaccination are not very much available to proportionate level to curtail the burden of COVID-19. So on that extent, people should be very much aware regarding the epidemic outbreak. During the adverse time, we know that the infective cases are increasing very fast, and medical health facility are were not able to manage the burden of COVID-19. So on that context, public attitude and behavior to adopt non-pharmaceutical interventions such as wearing face masks, having social distancing, proper sanitation, frequent hand washing, strict lockdown measures in hotspot by the government of India, educational institute arrange online classes, plays significant role in order to manage the burden of COVID-19 to some extent. In order to manage the future course of pandemic, media plays a very crucial role to disseminate accurate and reliable information to public regarding the benefit of early vaccination. Like someone is not going for the vaccination, people, government should encourage themselves what is the benefit of early vaccination, clear all existing and myths whatever going on in the society, like vaccination is a negative thing and all that, and induce behavioral changes so that they will also go for the vaccination, so that COVID-19 can be managed. And furthermore, the healthcare workers, educated people can educate uneducated and careless people who depends upon neighbor and community member rather than social media and internet through word of mouth communication to adopt non-pharmaceutical intervention and go for early vaccination in order to hinder the rapid spread of infection in future course of the coronavirus pandemic in India. Our study also suggests that government official and policy maker must focus on rapid vaccination, sufficient availability of medical oxygens, essential medicines in the treatment of COVID-19. And furthermore, vaccination campaigns should be implemented not only in urban medical hospital but also in easily accessible with the help of medical healthcare workers to the rural areas, so that rapid spread of COVID-19 cases can be managed in future course of the pandemic in India. So these are some future question, like in China now new strain is going on, so how we can model the fourth epidemic wave of COVID-19, and what types of preventive measure you can use along with vaccination to handle the rapid spread of infection in case of if any future pandemic regarding COVID-19 come in India. So that's all about for today. Hope you enjoy. Hello. Any question? Any question? I think I have. I think I have completed on time. Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to ask.
Rajanish,
Yes.
I
Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. That is, I just have one query.
Yeah.
Like you are making a model based
Yes.
on this
Whatever
present.
theoretical theory is available in the literature.
Yeah. So I just want to ask, what are the challenges that you may
Yeah,
face?
it's come from experience. In
Yeah.
order to formulate any mathematical model, you need lots of tools. You have to think so many times. You have to think pros and cons. If I will take this dynamical variable, what is the impact of this dynamical variable on the other dynamic variable? You have to use simple law of mass action, like we write na equation of motion for any like in statistics dynamics. So it will come from the experience. You have to consider each and every dynamic variable like susceptible class, infected class. But infected class is also two types: asymptomatic, symptomatic. But
Yes.
before being symptomatic, asymptomatic, you have one exposed class.
Mhm.
So someone, because it's come from the literature, we study so many reports where we have seen that first the individual who have COVID-19 infection, they will first exposed from the infection, then they will become symptomatic and asymptomatic. So we also study lots of literature. We also take some uh, reports published in WHO and other CDC and try to model whatever we know. Every model has some limitations.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't say that this is the noble model. This is the definition of the mathematical modeling. You formulate the mathematical model, you get some result. If your result does not match with real world situation, you should repeat this process so that you will get the better result.
Favorable one.
Yeah, that's why I have made the things in such a way. Na? Initially, when I was in PhD, I made a model which is not very much realistic. Now I have extended the idea which is close to the real world situation. So this is the, yeah, it will come from the experience, you can say in one line.
So that was my doubt. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, one more thing, like if you have a successful model, like do you get in touch with a medical fraternity or something?
Yeah. We, because we need data now.
Yeah.
But like I have collaboration with Subhas Khajanchi, so he is very much expert in data analysis. So I also learn from there because I am a mathematician, so I will not do all the stuff. So I need some collaboration, some. So Subhas sir is also one of the author in this these studies. So he is very much expert in data sciences.
Okay. Thank you, Rajnish.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Mm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is realistic now. You can uh, see tons of papers is already done. And data is also suggesting. You can also see some papers in Nature and Science by Funk et al. So they are also analyzing with the help of data. This is actually happen in the real world situation. That's why they are taken. So this is also supported with some data, no? Yes, sir. But in mathematical point of view, I am taking so many dynamical variables. It's very difficult task to do some more mathematics. Like if you, I will consider non-autonomous model, so some result of functional analysis will be come over there. But yeah, it's true, sir. Because there are some papers in science and nature, and they are supporting that media can be taken as a dynamic variable rather taking constant media. Yes. Yeah, yes, sir. Being a mathematical modeler, we have already assumed some predefined assumption like in mathematics, population is homogeneously mixed, and we are talking about the positive side. Being a researcher, we will only talk about the positive side. Media has some negative, because in case of Ebola virus, we have seen that a media program will have some negative effect. People will become very confused what is actually happening. Yeah, it's some papers like this as well, but being a good researcher, we will not talk about the negative things. So this is the purpose. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. I also really enjoyed to meet you all. I think I have met Priyanka ma'am in I think in Delhi some conference.
Yeah, South Asian
A long time,
University.
South Asian University.
Yeah.
And Amit is my close friend, so we keep on with several times. But yeah, I have seen so many.
Thank, thank you, Rajnish, for a nice presentation.
Thank you too, for inviting me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Okay, bye.